state that. And then um, talking like metaphorically, she said anger would be more bearable than this sorrow. What do you think she meant by that?
Um, that's like kind of what I was saying about Noodle. It's
Yeah.
easier to feel angry than it is to just feel sad and like suffer all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like when you have anger, you have like a lot of things that you can do with it.
Yes.
And in this situation, like when you're angry, I feel like you can do a lot um, positively with it. Like you can start movements and you can, you know, like preach your feelings when you have like an anger and like a frustration about something that's super common.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I feel like the mom, she used her anger in a much more like constructive, positive way than Noodle. He just kind of sat there like angry with the world, angry with anything that came to him. It wasn't like aimed at anything in specific where she was like, this is not okay, this can't happen, why does this happen to our boys, our like black boys, and like all that stuff. And she like uses it more constructively to try to make a difference in her family's life.
Yeah. I 100% agree with both of you guys. You guys basically said everything. Um, you can really see the difference between her and Noodle. Like they're both dealing with grief. The mom a little bit more because that's her baby, of course. But like you can see the different outcomes of it. They both use that anger in different ways, and like you guys say, anger is much easier to get rid of than sadness. And yeah, what else? So, like, why do you think Brick wanted Tyrell to join his gang so much? Like, you see him push him so much towards it. Like, to forget about college, forget about your future is over here. We got you, we're your family. Like, we're gonna take care of you. And that really happens a lot in the real world. So why do you think, like, they do this? Like, especially, like, in the story.
I feel like he wants him because he kind of wants him to like replace Tyreek, and also I don't think that he believes that Tyrell can go to college, and he always talks about how, you know, it's really expensive and, you know, not everyone is going to accept you. Um, so I feel like he's trying to like use stereotypes to say that it would just be easier for him to like join the gang and stay there instead of trying hard to get an education and like a good future from college.
I feel like the author with both Tyrell and Tyreek, the thing with the college, like you don't need that. I think she's just using it to show that these are good kids, but because they don't live that life, media and other people in society won't view them. And it's just kind of showing, I think, like Brick doing that represents how the gang just like takes every like opportunity they would get away.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you guys again. I like with the stereotypes, how Kayla said, you're using that stereotype to influence the person. He's using those stereotypes to push Tyrell more to this because I feel like he already has those doubts in his mind. Like, who wouldn't? Like, especially growing up in that community, especially like yeah, you think it, but I feel like it's not really like real until like someone tells you like, this is our stereotype. You are not gonna like. This is how we are. This is how they portray us, and it's much different from when you think it than from what happens and from when they say it to you, especially to your face. Like that's so much harsher. Like you can you process it more. Okay. So why does Jenica why does she accept the $100 from the reporters? Like that's a like why do you think she accepted it? Do you think it was for the better, for the worst?
I don't know. I feel like it might have been kind of like to prove a point, like this is what you did to me and like my family here, and like you owe me something.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
I feel like she did feel like a sense of like she thought about taking it like, what would this look like? Would it? She didn't know how it would do it, but I feel like in the end she kind of like just wanted the money because it was money too. Like it did have some meaning, but I feel like for her like the money factor somewhat overshadowed it, but not completely.
I mean, she is a teenager working at a diner, so it would have helped. It's $100, but it's like I feel like she kind of looked at it like kind of like selling her soul in a way, cause it wasn't just like some random tipper like, hey, I know what you're going through. Here's $100. It's from the media. It was from the media like, hey, tell us some stuff. Here's $100, and she honestly thought it through from how would this look like? Am I gonna seem greedy? And this
Well, 'cause
also
she didn't want to tell them in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, but she really did, like, I feel like she kind of did really need that money, and it's like, yeah. And that part in the book also is another strain to her relationship with Noodle, because how he felt about it, like, yeah. Like, talking about, like, Noodle, and, like, what do you think, like, how would you explain Noodle's reaction towards Jenica talking to the press?
I feel like he is overall just like really angry about everything. So I feel like he was angry that he wasn't the one that got to tell them, and he was also angry because like the media can misuse your words like very easily, and so I feel like they didn't want to have more like he didn't want to have like Tyreek being something big, because I feel like he kind of wanted the spotlight in a way.
Yeah, I feel like he and most of the people, they don't trust the media. So he was like, why would you tell them or do anything? But then again, I agree, he's jealous. Like, if you're going to ask anyone, why wasn't it me? I'm the one who knows things because I'm.
So, like, furthering us from the relationship and all that stuff, back to the crime scene, back to where it happened. Why does Brian think that he was responsible for Tyreek's death? Why do you think? Like, why do you think he believes it?
I don't know.
That is a good question. Yeah, I'm trying to think back to the beginning of the book, which I
We can just
read.
look through it. Let's just look through it. Well, isn't like Brian is Jack's friend, and right before they were talking, like right before this happened, they were talking about, oh, like this is a ghetto, like imagine if what would happen and all that stuff, basically having a conversation. And Brian was just saying, like, you know what I would do if that happened to me, and then Jack actually did that.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like he felt responsible. Like, what if I didn't put that thought in his head? Like, this is my fault, even though I wasn't there, I was a part of it. Like, yeah, I feel like that guilt is with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's just a lot of emotion, and everyone probably felt guilty in some way because, you know, Tyrell was saying, you know, if I was there with him, you know, I could have stopped him from doing this, and, you know, maybe I would have gotten shot instead of him, or maybe both of us would still be alive, you know. So, I don't know.
I feel like everyone feels guilty, like, in different ways, but I somewhat feel like Jack doesn't, even though we don't see how he feels, and he doesn't get to explain himself in here, but I do feel he did it, and it was just kind of like, oh, shoot, like, no.
Yeah, I feel like with this book, that was a very big, like, that was like kind of like a detail that you don't really think about it until you're done with the book. Like, why didn't she show the shooter's point of view? Why didn't she at the end maybe she could have done something with it? And I feel like we never see the shooter's side.
Yeah,
Like
not
in
really.
the media, you never see it. You're always just like, he was a young, nice man, or he was very quiet, or he had anger issues, or he had a mental illness, But you never see their thought process until many years later. Especially I mean, all I can think of is Charles Manson.
Oh.
Don't know him. He was it's not related to African American versus white violence, but you always see his side of after years gone. They have this one big special, oh, remember that one thing that happened years ago? We're finally getting the side of the shooter when they're half of their memory's gone. What's the purpose if their half of their memory is gone? And I feel like she could have done more with it. That would have been such a big element to it. Going through the whole thing and how he processed it and how he felt before it happened, how he felt after, how it felt when his dad was coming into the picture and all that stuff. That would have been very interesting.
I feel like it's probably for the better that she did not include his point of view, because she or at least it seemed like she wanted to focus more on the community
Yeah.
and how they were affected, and he would just be another person giving his side, which no one would agree with, because in the end he killed them.
So, Tina, how do you think she reacted to it? How do you believe that, if it was healthy or not?
I don't think that she really understands anything that's going on. I mean, in a sense she does, but when she was with Tyrell, when they went to his grave at the end, she said something to him oh, he's really not coming back, is he? And he was like, no. And so I don't really think that she fully understands the concept of
She was
death exactly, because
she's
he's
very
really
young.
young.
She's
So-
very young.
And didn't it say she had some major cognitive disabilities and
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like she loved him so much, so seeing that was somewhat closure, oh, this is really happening.
Yeah. More with Tina. How did she help save Tyreek's reputation?
So there was Junior. He is in prison because he cut somebody, and then I don't remember who it was, but they beat him until he died, and so then Junior took the blame for it and went to prison. And Tina found the knife in Tyreek's room. And there were a bunch of investigators that came into the house and were looking for things and whatever. And she had the knife and brought it into her room and hid it from them. And then she was gonna go. She snuck out of the house and was gonna go hide it where nobody could find it. So if she wouldn't have hid the knife and whatever, he would have gotten the blame instead of the man who shot him, because he claimed that he shot him for self-defense even though he wasn't armed. But if they found the knife, they would have said that he was armed and was gonna do something,
Okay. More into Tina and Tyrell. How she processed it, well, I feel like we already answered this questions. It was how did he help her with her grief, which was taking her to the grave. Yeah, so we already answered that. How does Will's stepfather finally understand him? When was the breaking point where he was just oh, yeah.
like when they went to the